If a crisis did occur, what's the first thing that people need to do?
Well, the very first thing is, I sit down with them. You've got to get a feel for, does the client recognize the seriousness of this issue, the implications of it for them? If they're in denial, by the way, many people are in denial.
Right, they don't accept.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't really a problem. We solved that. No. That was I hear that a lot. It's like, they don't even get that it's a crisis. Yeah. Now, you don't want to tell them you're in trouble right away, So you have to kind of, the way I've said to a client, I remember vividly, a very famous one, I said, look, here's what's going to happen here. Let's cut to the chase. The media now have this piece. They're going to be running very soon with that story. You've already denied, you already refused to talk to them. So they're getting ready to go, and they did the right thing. They asked you for a comment and you refused to give any. So option one is they're going to run with the story and you're not even in the story, not available for comment. Or option two is you tell the world, the country, what you have done and what you're doing to fix it or what you're doing to address it. Which one of those two do you prefer? Yeah. They almost always kind of go, well, that second one kind of, yeah. So you get a narrow window to tell your story.
Right.
So a lot of them don't want to do this. They're advised very poorly, I find, internally, because you don't want to upset the boss. So they tend to, we'll just let this blow over. Yeah, right. Well, that's often a huge mistake. You had a chance to tell the world what you've done. And so we are good at, I don't mind saying, crafting that exact statement. We've done that with school boards. We've done that with CEOs. We've done that with boards of directors. We've done that at universities. Universities get in trouble, as you know. And say, okay, what is the statement? Well, they'll spend a week and a half arguing that one back and forth. You've got to give them the draft. There it is. And let them react to something tangible. Learn that. Now react to that. What's missing in it? What should be in it? And here's my rule of thumb. Don't let lawyers lead the response. Please repeat that. I love lawyers, but they do a special thing. You run it by them before you go with it. A lawyer will tell you, if you say that word, that's going to be a problem. If you put it that way, we now have a legal problem. If you do this, fine, but don't let them lead the response. I have learned that from the get-go. And I often say to a lawyer, lawyers like to pressure clients. If we don't, and there's going to be litigation, there's going to be liability, you're going to be okay, you're threatening and pressuring the client. In the end, let the client who has to, the business owner who has to decide for him or herself, I have a much wider thing here. I've got to make sure that the trust of our brand, when we say our medications are safe, and then we're ignoring this thing here, we are hurting our own brand. That's bigger than just a legal issue. I will say a lawyer will help you in the court of law 2 years from now when it comes before the courts. We need to work on the court of public opinion that can have you drawn, quartered, convicted, and run out of town on a rail long before then. So my goal actually in a crisis is to say, we're going to end this quickly. The longer this goes on, the more damaging it will be. So my goal is not to extend it out for billing purposes, but let's end this today. That's really a goal.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And yeah, it's interesting because some people say like, no, don't say any comments, don't explain, let it blow over. But, I guess like your framing is that if you can have your message in there, it helps the article or the journalist have an actual balanced approach, which the journalist is trying to do. They're trying to get a comment. And if you don't give one, it's not going to go your way, right?
That's right.
And so after that initial kind of like, I'm going to say crisis hit, the business owners need to rebuild that trust.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever that situation might be, how do you go about gaining that trust with your employees or your customers after that initial crisis?
That's a great point. First of all, if you were honest, authentic, apologetic for what happened and take ownership of it, take responsibility of it. Lawyers hate that, but you're taking I'm picking on lawyers today. I don't know.
That's okay.
But that you're taking responsibility. It happened under your watch.
Yeah.
That's enough. Even if you didn't know about it, it doesn't absolve you from ultimate responsibility for what happens in your firm. So accept that. It's not a terrible negative to accept that mistakes were made.
Yeah.
And that you're genuinely sorry for it. So I always like to start with that. And I think the other thing is to rebuild. It's a great question you're asking. You have to start with your immediate customers. You have to share with them, your employees and your customers.
Right.
You've got to really engage them, allow them to ask you questions about it. Nowadays, you can do that on virtual calls and so on, but you've got to make sure that everybody gets a full and complete picture of what's going on and then lay out a plan of action for going forward.
Yeah, I think it makes sense what you're saying too. To rebuild that trust, you have to actually take ownership and accountability, and in a way that sounds, it's easier to say than it is to actually do. And there's every word you're saying has implications in the long term.
Right. There's always a tendency, and I hate to, I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular, the 3 Ds: dodge, duck, or deny. They'll go for any one of these 3. No, be forthright about it.
Yeah. Right.
I'm telling you, that's the biggest single stumbling block because, oh boy, if I admit that, then. So I'm big on what's the cost of not doing that? You're destroying the brand of your company.
Right.
And I mean, everybody wants to have a brand that is powerful and long lasting. My friend Bruce Firestone had come up with this. Ultimate success is DV. That is the your own demarcated or defined value. Defined value times Q times quantity equals success. So if you don't have a differentiated, that's really the word, the differentiated value, the DV, then you're just a Me Too company. You're a Me Too company offering Me Too services. So what is your unique brand? Your differentiated value? And I will say to clients, well, ours is that we focus on your issues. We don't do generic things. We do your exact issues and work with you on those. So that's one of our differentiated values.